Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Book Talk Live, where we will be discussing the Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. This is not the actual book I'm reading. I'm reading on my Kindle, but it looks better to hold up a physical copy.
Yeah.
All right. You all have it. So let's just go around from the top. We'll start with Pat and work our way down. And on these live, so just give like initial first impressions of Dostoevsky. And then once we get through that, we'll start digging into the details of what people think and what's happening in the book. And if you haven't read it, where you think it's going.
Okay.
All right, Pat.
Okay, so I'm loving it now. I'm having I'm really glad that I've stuck with it. I had a real hard time when we were about the halfway mark of where we are now, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to keep going. I really struggled with all of the examples of cruelty to children. And I just got really hung up on that. And I thought, I don't think I can read this. But I kept going, and it has gotten a lot better, and I'm totally hooked now. And I'm just really invested in the story. And one of the things that really strikes me about it is that, in the beginning, you get really bogged down in all of the minor characters and the names.
Everybody
the names, and there are all these characters, and you're like, who is this, and why is he talking about this person? And then as the story goes on, almost everybody that's introduced ends up coming back again later and having a really, really important role in the story, in the really important parts of the story. And I'm just loving seeing how it's all coming together now. So those are my first impressions.
Now, the one thing you mentioned was all the Russian names. Now,
yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I was reading comments on the internet that the translator that we're reading, the Michael Katz translation, is that he's actually toned down the use of like diminutives in the book. Even though I'm saying you're toning that there's a lot
of them, yeah,
a lot of diminutive. But I guess that's just part of the Russian culture, is that your name has multiple variations.
Yeah. And I've read other Dostoevsky, and I don't remember, or maybe it's just that I was younger then, but I don't remember struggling to the degree that I am now with all the names. Like with Crime and Punishment, maybe there were just fewer characters.
I think there's fewer characters, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Right. Like War and Peace has a lot of characters with 3 different names, and you need a program to tell the players. But yeah, Pat, that part that you're mentioning about all the children, then it's right before the Grand Inquisitor, isn't it?
That is the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, it's in that section.
Book 5, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that is really heavy. And that's where we get
yeah. But Alan, let's not get into let's
we'll
try not to get into the weeds. Let's just get going with the book and high impressions, then dig deep.
All right. You just want me to say something briefly?
Yeah. Yes, your first impressions of the book, and we'll go into the detail, a lot of the details later.
Yeah, well, staying with the names then, like some I really don't even call the right names to this day. Like that Father Farsi, I call him, and it's not Farsi. It's Father something with that
Z.
The Z.
Oh yeah, the Z guy. He's unforgettable monk. It's a reread for me. So I wasn't all that well versed on it coming to it the second time, but I think I have a note here. Yeah, I read it in. Oh man, I thought I had a date, but I don't. It was a group read on BookTube with different people, so I just like the brothers, and I relate to Dmitri, but I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay.
I have a cool cross on it. I mean the necklace, but look at this cool cross.
Oh, cool.
It has like skeletons on it. I think Alicia, I call him Alyosha or whatever. You like that one? See, I don't even have the names.
Okay, Jenny, you're up.
Oh, I'm up? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it right away, right from the start. Yeah, the names are a bit confusing, but I think going from Chekhov to this, I was kind of prepared for the confusing names. I think right away the tone is kind of set that there's going to be some very intense like subject matter in it. I think my favorite part so far was like very early in the beginning where Father what's his name? Father
Zosima?
I'm not sure how I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I don't know how to say it, but yeah, where he's talking to like the peasant women and like he goes out to them first before he goes to talk to like the I guess the middle class or the upper class women, and like that whole, it was just very, I don't know, it was very beautiful but also very intense and powerful. So I was like, okay, this book is going to have a lot of intense but beautiful, but like also like sad and just like a lot of emotions in it. Yeah.
Yeah, Dostoevsky's known to write in a white heat. He's a very passionate author. I've also been told that as a stylist in Russian, he's really bad. He's a clumsy author.
Oh, interesting.
Is like it came out of a Crime and Punishment. When Raskolnikov's in his garret, Dostoevsky describes his table as round and oval. And at least in the Peaver translation, they translate it round and oval. And some people are complaining it's a bad translation because you got to pick round or oval. Until a Russian speaker says, no, that's exactly what Dostoevsky put in the book.
How he wrote it.
And the translators, they said, you know something, we're just going to let that mistake go into the translation.
Really fast, like in a fever.
Yes.
Yeah.
The way I described it is a white heat. Just like,
there you go.
Throwing it on the page as fast as you can get it.
Yeah. And it's a little bit jarring sometimes, like that energy.
Yeah.
Like some chapters, I feel like my heart was racing through it, and then other chapters, I'm like very calm.
Yeah.
It's going back and forth between that energy is very strange. It's not consistent.
Yeah. Okay, Debs, what about you?
First read for me. In fact, it's my first Dostoevsky. I like his style, actually. I quite like the up and down of the pacing. It is quite jarring, but it's when he does speed up, it sort of jolts you into, oh, okay, we're off again. Like that book 5, I thought was very intense, really, really intense. And we've got halfway through, but even though the first sentence tells you that Karamazov's father is dead, it's taken us 8 books to get there.
It's taken us 500 and at least, depends on which translation you're in.
Yeah, I'm on 515 pages.
Right.
But we still haven't even really seen what happened with him yet.
No. We just know he's being...
Yeah.
The crucial point of the book has occurred.
Yeah.
But with 8 books out of 12 in.
Yeah.
I know. Well,
which is interesting.
Dostoevsky said in the beginning that this book is 2 novels in one.
Yeah.
Remember his very introduction.
Yeah.
And I think the first not is this whole. Well, are you done, Debs, talking about what you done?
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt.
No. Go for it.
Because like I said, I read this in a different translation back in the 80s.
Mm.
I think it was a David Duff or David Marshank translation. I don't remember. And I remember reading, I was in my 20s and just being totally riveted by this story.
So which translation are you reading now?
I'm actually reading the Michael Katz translation.
Right.
I have it on my Kindle here, but when I hold up the book, it's a little more convenient to hold up the physical. And every now and then I look at chapters and see how close they are, and it's recognizable that it's the same story, just slight variations of how they do the.
Well, I have a question for Greg, kind of, and I guess for everybody, but especially Greg, about what do you think about all the detail he gets into about the Bible and Christianity and that?
Well,
you find that boring, or
no? I actually think, I know, Pat, you did not like that whole discussion, but I found that kind of riveting.
No, that wasn't what I didn't like. I couldn't deal with the descriptions of the things that were done to the kids. It wasn't the whole, Christ coming back and what would people do. That wasn't what bothered me. It was the actual graphic depiction of tortured children. I can't do it.
It's one of those areas that you just don't want to get into.
Yeah.
Mm.
But Alan, one of the things about Dostoevsky is that he was actually a very devout Christian.
Oh yeah.
In the Russian Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
And there was a story. I mean, I'm bringing a little bit of extra, but when he wrote his famous first novella, Notes from Underground.
I have not read that. I've heard about it.
There's just a nasty, nasty narrator man in that story who's just traumatized by life and society. And I guess in an early draft, he had the character cured by turning to Christianity.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And I guess Dostoevsky went through it and said, that's just not a good story.
Mm-hmm.
So he just crossed it on and left it.
Good.
But here you get a very poignant view of atheism. Yeah. And really one of the most poignant views of atheism that are in literature.
Yeah,
but
I've been almost
coming from a devout Christian. And I always found that complexity, that dichotomy, so interesting. That a man of faith could portray a different belief so strongly and succinctly.
Yeah.
And the whole parable of Christianity no longer needing Christ.
But then I'm talking later on in the book where all the details about the monks, and they get into books of the Bible, especially Job and all that, and it goes on for a long time. You still enjoy that? The details and
is that in book 8 or is that book 9 that you're talking about?
I hope it's 8.
I'm talking. I don't remember talking about Job that much.
No, today I was listening to book 5 and 6 and that. So there's parts in there that he's in the monastery in there.
Maybe, I mean, if he talked about it, I mean, it didn't stick with me.
Yeah, they're talking about.
Does anyone else remember what Alan's talking about?
The what?
I think he's talking about book 6.
Yeah.
When we go through the whole life of Father.
The life of the Father. Okay.
Yeah.
Father Z.
Right. I think that's what Alan's talking about.
Yeah, my mind kind of wandered a little bit with the story.
Yeah, I mean, mine did too. That's what I meant. If mine was wandering during that, yours had to be. Not that I'm more into the Bible and as literature than you or anything, but I've been through catechism and that a long time ago. It was like driven into me. I used to be able to say all the books of the Bible's name by heart, like Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, or Joshua. See, I forget.
Okay.
But
I think book 6 was probably the one I enjoyed the most so far.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about the religious life.
Yeah, that's about like his growing up, and he was in the military or something for a little bit, and then there was that duel, but then like that whole story about the duel.
oh yeah,
that was
where he apologizes and
and he's like, I'm a monk, and then everybody's like, oh,
sees the light for the way he talks down to, or he hits his servant, right?
Oh yeah, and then he apologizes, and
that's how he feels so guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that whole section too, where he tells his whole life story.
And then it was really jarring because I think after that was the funeral, right?
Right.
Everything fell apart.
And that goes badly. Yeah.
Yeah, not great.
Call him Alicia, but what's his
audiobook, Alan. You should be telling us the pronunciations.
Well, I just make my own up, kind of, because I read it like half and half, audio, and then like when I'm on the road, when I go get on a bus or train, I'm doing audio. But when I'm here, I've got it marked up.
Wait, is it Alicia? Is that how you say it?
Alyosha.
Alyosha, I think is.
Alyosha.
Alyosha. Okay.
Yeah,
I think I don't know.
Even the woman, it's like Clytemnestra. What's her name?
Grushenka.
Yeah, she's a real piece of woman, huh?
I was thinking that Grushenka and Dmitri were like the same, kind of like the same character. Something about they have the same energy.
Yeah, real hedonistic, maybe.
Yeah, male and female version of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting triangle going.
It is. Dostoevsky's portraying, I guess, archetypes very well. Like Dimitri's all passion, Ivan's all intellect, and Alyosha is the spiritual.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to share a woman with your father is very odd. You know.
But actually, neither of them had.
What?
No, neither of them had actually had sex with her, had they?
Not yet, I don't think.
I don't think so. But then again, this is 19th century novel, and
I don't think the father has yet, but
I don't think Mitya had either.
All Dmitri did was kiss her foot. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Right?
And let's face it,
she said that
dead, and he's being carted off to prison, so there's not a lot of hope left for him. The moment has passed.
But what about the unofficial fourth brother? The
Shmerdakov.
How do you say his name? Smurda.
I think it's pronounced Shmerdakov.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's something in that the Russian name.
Oh.
That's
double meaning.
Well, I think it's like smelly.
Oh right.
Because at least in most translations, there's a character called Stinking Lizaveta.
And that's his mother.
That's his mother. That's where he got the Shmerdakov from.
Right.
And as I understand it, Shmerdakov to a Russian is just a stinky. I mean, it means stinky. It has a bad odor to it. And I know in the Constant Garnett translation, she sort of drops that stinking name from the character.
Oh.
I think it said somewhere though that it was like that it meant smelly or something.
Yeah, but it depends. Some translators will just leave it in the original Russian and put it in the notes.
Oh.
And some translators, like the Cats and the Peaver, just say she's stinking Lizaveta. I know Constance Garnett, she was very Victorian in her outlook. And she said, you can't call a woman smelly.
Oh.
So, at least in that translation, she just drops it entirely.
That whole scene, her whole character, we already think Karamazov, the father, is a despicable person. But when we find out what he did with her, with Lizaveta, or whatever her name is, who is really an incapacitated person, right? I mean, she can't even speak. She's a homeless person. She's indigent. She's mentally not all there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like something like even lower functioning than like Down syndrome, like just like really,
Right. And so he takes advantage of her and, leaves her pregnant. It's just, there are no depths to which he will not go,
No.
I know. It's like, do you really mind that he's murdered? It's like,
you're right.
No, at that point, I was like, oh, good. I'm glad he gets murdered.
Yeah.
There actually was a point at which I was thinking, when are we going to get to the murder? Which is not the way you usually think about a character, but he's just so despicable, in every way.
And the treatment of his previous wives is also just like entirely.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. What was Ivan's and Alyosha's mom's name? I don't remember.
Oh, I don't remember.
I think Sophia Ivanova or Ivanovna.
Oh.
Does that sound right? I was writing down
Sounds
the name.
about right.
Sophia, I think, is her name.
Oh, yeah.
And she falls ill and dies, early on.
A lot of people in the comment section, Greg.
There are a couple people in the comments. We have Constance Campbell. Hello.
Hi, Constance.
The book thing. It's my daughter's birthday today, so I can't stay. Just wanted to say hi. I'll watch later. Well, hello. Reading is like breathing. Still working on book 8.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Well, we're not really giving any huge spoilers because
No.
everyone knows that the father's going to bite the dust early on.
It's going to catch the buzz.
Yeah. Well, here's what you say. It's like, I think everyone is a constant state of excitement. That's very true.
Yes, they are very excitable.
They're always agitated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can picture, I'm going like this, but Dostoevsky obviously was writing like in a fevered pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And, shows.
Yep. Gareth, listening here. Victoria, hi. Oh, Roy's in the cup. Roy, did you want to join in the discussion? I know you were in the Voxer group. I thought you were going to join, but maybe you haven't finished yet. But
yeah, we can let you in still.
Yeah, definitely.
Was that it for the comments? I thought there were more.
No, that's it for the comments.
Well, that's cool. I'm surprised people are watching. I always am.
Yeah. So
Anybody read the book?
What do we think about Father Zosima stinking to high heaven?
I'm not sure. I mean,
yeah, they act like that's abnormal, but he's not.
Well, a lot of people take that as evidence that he wasn't really the holy man that he.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we know he wasn't.
That he was supposed to remain pure even after death.
Yeah, it reminded me there's a thing called the rainbow light in Buddhism, where there's people that attest to this and that, and I've read it in books where they bury a high lama, like the Dalai Lama, in sand, and in 7 days there'll be like a rainbow light appearing and all this stuff, and sometimes he'll be gone. All kinds of myths like that. I'm pretty sure Father wasn't the father, as in the monk, wasn't all that holy. I think it's a humorous thing for Alicia. Alicia gets all perturbed about it.
Yeah, he's very upset by it, isn't he?
Yes, his faith is shaken by that, by the fact
Exactly.
that his body decomposes, basically.
Yeah, well, you know, that's part of it in the book is that Dostoevsky is shaking up faith and talking about what it means to truly be religious. And I'm kind of curious. I mean, I've read it before, but I don't remember exactly where Dostoevsky's heading in this direction.
It's a strange thing for somebody who's very Christian or religious, like you're saying, to write that, though, to write that story about everybody getting really mad because somebody's body is decomposing and losing their faith in it. Like, it seems something more like an atheist would write that.
Well, that's the complexity of Dostoevsky.
I know, it's strange.
You see that a lot in like Crime and Punishment, where he has a very religious ending that just came out of nowhere. So it's like I said, Dostoevsky, as I said, he's brain fever when he writes, you know, just all coming out. And that's part of the reason I really like him, because I like that complexity. You're never sure where everything's going to be going.
I wondered if he was looking at the sort of the superstition of some of the very faithful, you know, who actually believe that, you know, a holy man's body would be incorruptible. You know,
yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I just wondered about that, because I wondered about that too, that he's this very Christian man. And, you know, I mean, there are people who believe that, you know, saints and holy people, you know, that the body doesn't decompose, or that they, you know, they ascend to heaven, you know, without going through the normal. I mean, these are things that people believe. I you know, so I wonder.
Yeah, we've got stories about like that about one of our the saints over here, St. Cuthbert, who died. They carted him away from Lindisfarne, walked him miles and miles. Then he'd been buried at this time. They dug him up to move him, and his body was still exactly the same. That's what you expect a saint to be, you see. You don't expect them to fall apart off their bones and stink to high heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I agree, Pat. I think that might be a possibility, that he's assessing the absolutely devout and their beliefs by having Zosima rot.
I wonder if that, in order to get relics, a body has to be like pure. For, you know, they have relics of saints all over, and thumb bone here, rib bone over here, leg bone.
Well, Alan, you're assuming that who's ever selling that bone is actually selling the bone of a presumed saint, or just digging up any old grave and selling it.
Well, I'm not talking about selling them. I'm talking about the ones we have in Vatican and in Paris and that.
Yeah,
I went to see the relics of Saint Bernadette of Tours. They were on tour, and they were at our local Catholic cathedral. Wow. So I mean, I'm not Catholic, I'm not religious, but I thought I'm not going to see these again, so I trundled along to see them. And I mean, it was packed. This place was absolutely packed. Every service they had for, I think it was here, they were here for 4 or 5 days. But then afterwards, they packed these relics into a white van, which had "Relics on Tour" written on the side, which I just thought was hilarious.
That's the title of my next poem.
What did you see? What were the relics? What were you able to see?
It was it was like a casket that was about this big, I suppose. I think it was a bone from her hand that was inside it. You didn't see the bone, but lots and lots of people carried it very reverentially down the aisle of the church. And I had to sit for an 1.5-hour Catholic service to see that. But yeah, the thing I found most entertaining was the white van with Relics on Tour written on the side of it.
Relics on Tour.
Well, maybe I should do that as a retirement business and just like show people some relics on tour and get some pocket cash going.
Side hustle.
I don't understand how that. I mean, don't Catholics like believe in ghosts or something, or spirit, or
they believe in healing powers of like the relics and that.
Oh,
and water.
So is it like once you're a relic, you can like you won't like scare you. Your ghost won't like scare people or anything. If you,
I see what you mean.
Like
I don't know.
I don't know.
You'd think
it
not.
just seems strange. So they just want to put people's bones around everywhere and stare at them. Like
I could be wrong about this, but I think many churches have a relic somewhere on the premise.
Oh, you're right.
I think you're right.
Most Catholic churches have some sort of relic as part of their.
I think. I don't know if they all do, but I definitely think that.
Yeah, the Vatican deals them out. The best churches get the best relics in that.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's amazing.
There's a couple questions coming in. It's a little out of order, but about the excitement. Is it the time or the Russian character?
I
think a lot of it's Dostoevsky. Honestly, I think he was because Tolstoy does not write that way.
No, I didn't get those vibes. The change in the pacing from Tolstoy, whereas Dostoevsky sort of builds up to a little bit of a frenzy, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Did he have a troubled life with issues?
I don't know very much about him.
Oh, you don't know about Dostoevsky?
He was in prison.
No.
In that.
Oh,
he was in prison.
This is actually.
I don't know anything about it. I've never read him before.
He started off as an author, get some success, and he wrote something that peeved off the government. He got in trouble. So what they decided to do is get a bunch of these rabble rousers together, and the rule was you're all going to be shot. So one morning they gathered up all these people who are going to shot. They put the first people on the post and got the firing squad together. And I guess just before they raised the rifle, they said, "Okay, you're all pardoned. It's now going to be, you're all going to go to the gulag in Siberia instead." So Dostoevsky was like, it's like, I think I was minutes away of being shot. And that was when he was officially diagnosed as having epilepsy. He had his first epileptic fit.
Oh.
Shortly afterwards. Well, I presume that would be really traumatic.
Mm.
And then he was in the gulag 9 years, 10 years, or something.
Oh, right.
Like that.
Oh, geez. He
has a memoir called Notes from the House of the Dead, which describes his experience in a gulag. Which, if you want it, it's a good pairing with Solzhenitsyn's One Day in the Life of
Ivan. Yeah.
I mean, they're gulags. I mean, Ivan's a little more modern, but it's still a gulag, Dostoevsky.
Mm.
And then he came back, and then he started writing again. He came up with Notes from Underground and Crime and Punishment. Mm. His major. I mean, his earlier books are read sometimes, but I don't think anyone calls them major works.
Have you read The Idiot?
The Idiot was after.
Yeah, I read that in graduate school.
Is that good?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't like The Idiot as much. Just some of his
I
other
don't like it as much as this, and I like Crime and Punishment better.
I like so yeah. I'm still a Crime and Punishment boy over this.
I am too.
I still have to finish it before I make my
Same. I have
final
to know
judgment.
how this is going to end. This
And
is something that's been bothering me that I wanted to talk about. Why do you think he names, and maybe you know this, why does he name his main character, you know, the father, the horrible Karamazov? Why does he have the author's first name? Why are they both Fyodor?
I think Fyodor is like a common Russian name. It's like John. It's like, you can't, go anywhere without someone being named John, in the United States or maybe even Britain.
But there are 5 main male characters, and
right.
They have different names, but the one that's the most despicable person has his own name.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's curious. Obviously, I noticed that. My assumption was it's such a common Russian name. He just went with it.
I think that he had self-loathing, and he had issues that dealt with his mother, who died early too. So, but I'm just being facetious here, but it's true about his mother.
But Dostoevsky also had a gambling problem.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Very serious. At one point, he sold off all the rights to his earlier works to pay off a gambling debt.
Oh, wow.
And or did he have to deliver a book by a certain type, or he got rid of all his rights to all of his works? So he had quite the dramatic life.
So I can see where the character Dmitri, like there's some empathy for Dmitri and his issues
with the money,
Yeah.
Gambling.
Yes, he was always struggling for money.
And Dimitri's.
Wonder how much 3,000 rubles is.
I was trying to figure that out, and I never got close. So like, what's the I asked my device. I'm not going to mention her name right now. What would this be in U.S. currency? And it's just way beyond the capability of an AI to answer that kind of question. But it sounds like the 3,000 rubles is like a couple years' salary.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot.
For like a relatively prosperous person, like middle class, you could live a couple years off 3,000 rubles.
I was interested early in the novel when the whole family comes to the monastery. I guess the purpose is to settle the conflict between the father and Dmitri before Father Z. Which is making Alyosha want to die. The fact that his whole family is there in front of, his beloved Father Z. But that whole scene, I was intrigued by the whole thing. And Dmitri comes late. He misses the whole beginning part. And then when he comes in, the priest, doesn't he kneel at Dmitri's feet?
Yeah.
Remember that?
And it was very strange.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, what does he, I mean, I didn't know how to interpret that. What was that? What was that all about? What does he know, that's going to happen? Or,
well,
because Alyosha was furious, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. But Father Z, like, he was on another level, I think. I think he was like above, like he was on a different plane, like with
he
people.
was
hierarchy.
Yeah, like he had so much empathy for people.
Yeah.
It
was almost like he was reading people's minds.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
so,
like
does he know what's going to happen to Dmitri? Is he, sort of enacting something there?
He sort of does in a way, like not exactly what's going to happen, but I think he sort of knows that this guy is his life is kind of doomed.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, Roy
Like
said
Roy
something.
said here is like before the whole thing with the corruption, I was sold on him being a saint. The answer to Ivan's atheism, all part of the roller coaster. Now, I'm not going to give a spoiler, but I think if I remember correctly, Ivan's atheism is going to be having its day in Called Up. I don't know who else has read this book before.
I have not.
I haven't.
Alan, you read it before.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll see if I remember this correctly, or if my memory is coming from some other story is possible.
I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of it now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think it's going to really read fast.
Yeah, I'm getting the impression it's going to ramp up a bit.
Yep. So here's a quick question. This is for the people who have not finished the book yet. Do you think Dmitri is going to be guilty?
I honestly don't know.
No, I don't think he's guilty.
Oh.
I was thinking, before we got to this stage where he was actually arrested, right? I was thinking about I can't remember his name, begins with an S. The son of the servant.
Smerdek.
Yes. But he's lying somewhere in the midst of an epileptic seizure, or is he? Is this just fun? I don't know.
He's the mastermind. He's planned the whole thing out. So,
well, I'm thinking that could be the case.
Right.
At the moment, I'm thinking that could be the case. The other two are incapacitated, aren't they? His parent, the mother and father, they are incapacitated. But him, he was on about having an epileptic seizure, and then he has an epileptic seizure, and so I don't know. I don't know whether he's guilty or not at the moment.
I feel like he told Ivan the whole plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ivan just didn't know what to do with it.
No.
It was like I'm going to Moscow or something.
Yeah. Gets on the train out.
Yeah, gets on a train. Bye-bye.
Well, with that family, I'd be getting on that train to somewhere else too.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Dmitri is guilty.
Yeah, he looks guilty. He may even be found guilty, but that doesn't.
He's got blood and money.
But I somehow feel bad for him.
Yeah.
But the real question is, do you feel bad for Smerdekov? Do you feel
Smerdekov? I'm not positive how to pronounce that myself.
Do you feel bad for him, or are you rooting for him?
The thing is, I remember the resolution of the book, so I'm holding my tongue.
Okay. Hold your tongue. Don't tell us.
Some really interesting things that are being said. So if we do the live at the end of the book, I'm going to bring up some things that have been talked about already because they are relevant.
Yeah, I can't wait for it all to be resolved now.
No, that's it. I've got to the stage in the book where I just want to gallop on now and find out what happens.
I'm seeing how it's going because I just may push. Like, I know we got to the end of the month, but I just may push on this book and see if I can get it done just a little bit early.
Sooner.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It definitely, the pace picked up entirely. What was kind of slow to start, it just all of a sudden it is galloping. That's exactly right.
Mm.
Yeah,
the thing is, even if he is guilty, I don't actually dislike him. So I still have some sort of empathy.
Because he has a good reason?
Yeah.
He has a good reason? Yeah.
Do you dislike any of the brothers? I mean,
Not
I
really.
know we talked about this before,
Like
but
sometimes I dislike them, but sometimes I don't. That's the thing. I go back and forth. Like some of their actions I don't like, but them as people, like I feel bad for them. I have empathy and sympathy. Like I don't like that Dimitri just gets violent out of nowhere and does things.
No.
But on the other hand, I think he's very like messed up in the head and needs help and needs some therapy.
Yeah. Ivan, I'm not sure about. I don't know whether I like Ivan.
You see, Ivan, I feel for. I mean, the intellectual appeals to me more than the spiritual and the passionate. It's like he's the archetype that pulls me in.
Yeah, he's a bit like the Paul Michael Glazier character in Fiddler on the Roof. He was the revolutionary and the intellectual who carts off one of Clevier's daughters on the train to Siberia or wherever he goes. He reminds me a bit of him.
Oh, see, I haven't seen that movie in 70s, early 80s, so don't ask me to remember anything.
So I think I have my mother's album of it. Fiddler on the Roof.
One of my favorites. I watch it every year or so.
If I were a rich man.
I mean, when you think about all of these brothers, you know, the horrible upbringings that they had, you know, I mean, there's no mother in most of their lives. You know, the mothers are all gone really early on. They have this absurd father, you know, this terrible, despicable man as a father.
This guy, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's a miracle
they're farmed out people
at all
over.
Anyway.
No, I mean they're farmed out to people that they don't even know.
Right.
Yeah, they've had a pretty traumatic time of it, and they're all split up.
Right. They don't even know each other, really.
No.
I mean, they're getting to know each other in the course of the novel. So, wasn't there even a place, or am I making this up, where the father is talking to Alyosha about his mother, and he's saying really horrible things about her, and he like collapses. I don't know if that was an epileptic fit. Something happens to him, but
yeah.
And then didn't he even forget that both that Ivan and Alyosha had the same mother? Like, doesn't he even like that dawns on him in the middle of the conversation?
Yeah.
It's like
can't track dates or anything, or the order of, because he's too self-involved.
He's just so self-absorbed that I don't. He says, "Oh yeah, I have sons somewhere.
Right.
Must have had a mother." Yeah. You know.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Despicable.
Aren't relics like spiritual intercessors?
Oh yeah.
Yes, I think that's right.
I think you pray to your relic. Well, someone was mentioning about the Catholic religion is that if you want something in the Catholic religion, you first have to pray to a saint.
Well, yeah, I know.
And if the saint doesn't answer your prayers, you then pray to Mary. And then if Mary, then you start praying to Jesus and God. It's a hierarchy.
Yeah, well, Judas.
I mean, I'm not exact on that because I don't remember exactly what I was told, but it's something along those lines.
Yeah, St. Judas, the sin of love causes, right? That, I think.
Right.
And,
right, but I'm not aware of that you can't pray directly to Jesus or to God the Father.
It's more like for specifics.
Yeah, I mean, there are saints that are saints of particular issues. So you want to get pregnant, you know, there's you pray to Saint Anne.
You want to have a safe trip, it's St. Christopher. That's why people have St. Christopher medals in their cars.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm not aware that you can't pray directly to, you know, the big guy.
I don't think you can't. It's just like it's requested that you go go through the telephone hierarchy.
Yeah, it helps.
They're really busy, so he's so busy. Why don't you try one of the lesser people first?
The saints work for you if you.
Yeah.
if you really want it bad enough.
Apparently, everyone has like two angels that are supposed to look at. No, it's angels, saints, something like that. It's like a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. You'd have to get someone with a little more knowledge.
I did look up when we were talking before about relics, about there being relics in churches, and it is true, and there still are relics in every Catholic church, and this is where it came from, which I did not remember. When Catholicism was still illegal under the Roman Empire, early members of the church would meet in underground catacombs to escape harsh persecution. They would celebrate the Mass on stone slabs covering the tombs of martyrs in order to show proper reverence for the ultimate sacrifice they made for Christ. When Emperor Constantine legalized Christianity, Mass no longer needed to be held underground out of necessity. Moving above ground, they didn't leave behind the tradition of venerating the relics of saints. Churches were generally built over the remains of martyrs and saints. But when not possible, a first-class relic was placed within the altar and covered by a stone slab. So it just very interesting. I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
And as recently as Vatican II, which was the early 1960s, this practice was affirmed and simplified. The practice of placing relics of saints, even those not martyrs, under the altar to be dedicated is fittingly retained. Care should be taken, however, to ensure the authenticity of such relics. Now that's like 1962 or 1964.
Wow.
So is that in every Catholic church? There's some dead bodies? Or dead
bodies?
Not a whole body. So when the priest kisses the altar while celebrating the Mass, he is showing reverence not only for Christ as the cornerstone of the church that the altar represents, but also continues the ancient tradition of showing reverence for the sacrifice of the martyrs. So yeah, there's a bone or some body part apparently underneath the altar somewhere.
Wow.
I have a relic.
Do you?
Want to see it? It's the toe of Mother Josephine.
Alligator toe.
That's what it would look like, though. Something like that. They're really gross. I've seen pictures of relics. You can see pictures of them in that.
So we're going to try to catch up with some comments. James, not unusual for a religious author to depict the clergy uncharitably. The Chaucer or the Decameron.
Right.
None of the Catholic churches I've been have relics. Well, James, maybe you just don't see them because they're
under the altar.
Under a slab. Probably more common in Europe. Maybe.
This says within every consecrated Catholic altar, there are relics of saints.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know they had some in Toledo, Ohio when I was growing up at St. Patrick's.
So James says, by giving the father the name Fodor, all the brothers are Fodoroviches. Maybe Dostoevsky is thinking of his characters as his spiritual sons? You know, there's his creation, so that's why.
Maybe. This was his last novel, wasn't it?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, he died before it was published, right?
I don't know.
I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he completed it and then it was published afterwards.
Yep.
Okay.
This says a Catholic church is not required to have a relic, but it is a common practice around the world, and it is typically encased in a small compartment within the altar.
All right.
Not a requirement, but many have it.
Yep.
And then
for sure.
Check is the fiddler. Okay. And Gareth says Fiddler is his second favorite musical. Love it.
What's the first, Gareth?
So I wonder what Gareth's favorite musical is.
Yeah, tell us, Gareth. What's the first one?
He may not be here. Maybe we can guess. I don't know. I don't know musicals very well, so I couldn't say.
I'm going for West Side Story.
I'm going for Pippin. Because that's my favorite musical. Or you might like,
Oh, Gareth is here. He's hold on. My all-time Pink Floyd's The Wall. Is that a musical?
Okay.
it was never on Broadway, I don't think.
No, but it was a movie.
Yeah, it was a movie.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh,
That was a musical?
yeah, Tim Burton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tim Burton, yeah.
All right. We've been at this almost an hour. Do we have anything that we want to talk about this first half of the book until we finish it up?
So will we meet one more time? We'll do it
Yeah.
again.
Well, I mean, let's just finish it up one more time, one more live show after we finish it.
Yeah, I agree with everybody that it's picking up, and so we'll get into some more action instead of all the religious stuff and theology.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I have a sense
we
that
just
the
passed the
second
first
half-
book of this novel.
I-
What
I have a
Dostoevsky-
sense that the second half's going to be quicker than the first half
Me too.
as a read.
I think so too. Of course, I've read it, and it's just all the. Now it's turned into the mystery novel. I was like,
Yeah.
how'd he die? Who did it? How's it going to turn out? Who's gonna uncover the real killer if Dimitri is not the real killer?
Colonel Mustard in the library with the candlestick.
Right.
All right. No last comments.
One live show. Too
Live
bad
show?
James and Roy couldn't make it, but
Yeah, he's in the chat room still. So
yeah, they both made the chat, so that's cool.
Harrods store in London used to have a Saint-style relic of Lady Di, a glass with her lipstick on it.
Wow.
That's actually
Wow.
hideous.
Okay.
Is that
All
true?
right.
That's wow.
That is well. Okay, everyone.
It's not
If
true.
you're in the chat room, I'm so glad you came along for this discussion, and we will continue this. I presume early in May, not in April, no, April, March, April. Once
Yeah.
we finish this. All right,
Very good.
everyone, have a great
Enjoy
day.
the rest of the book,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.